Freestyle. Keep your body as flat in the water as possible, head facing down. Your forehead and nose bridge should be just below the water surface. Eyes are looking forward but down towards the bottom of the pool. Relax your neck and upper back muscles. Aim to keep the stroke neat and tidy, and as streamlined as possible. Freestyle leg kick is an up and down alternative but continuous action. The movement involves the whole leg. The kick begins from the hips, not the knees, with pointed toes when you kick. Keep the legs close together and relax with a slight knee bend, with the feet and ankles relaxed and flexible. As the leg moves up, there is a slight bend in the knee. As the leg performs the downward kick, the leg straightens, pointing your toes during the downbeat to help with propulsion. The arm action is continuous and alternating. At the beginning of the stroke, the hand extends out in front of the body until almost straight, with the thumb and first finger, palms facing down and fingers together. The catch phase of the stroke is important, as it is the beginning of the propulsion phase. The hand should be relaxed but slightly cupped to begin to pull the water. Pull your arm down through the water in line with the body. Bend the elbow slightly under the body. As your hand passes your hip, push the water all the way to the upper thigh, beginning to straighten your elbow. The recovery of the stroke takes place over the water, with your hands close to your upper thigh. Lift one arm out of the water with a bent elbow, trying to make sure your elbow is higher than your hand. Reach forward over the water. Extension of the arm starts as the hand passes the shoulder. Stay nice and relaxed, entering the water to begin the next arm cycle. To breathe, turn head to the side whilst one arm is in the recovery phase. The head turns to the water before the entering arm has passed the face.
Of all strokes, breaststroke is the most challenging stroke technically. That's because the breaststroke is very timing sensitive. It is all about rhythm and timing. Large fluctuations in velocity caused by the recovery phase of the legs makes it a hard stroke to swim. Propulsion comes from the kick and the pull that occurs separately. To be the most effective, the legs in breaststroke must be streamlined behind the swimmer while the pull is occurring, and the arms must be streamlined in front of the swimmer once the kick is occurring. Timing is crucial, as you can imagine. Breaststroke also causes the most resistance of all strokes. Why? Because it is the only stroke where the recovery of the legs is in the opposite direction underwater. Therefore, a reduction of the leg angle during the recovery streamline plays a huge part in learning this technique. How to do it? As your arms start the pull phase, lift your head and even your chest out of the water to breathe. By coming out of the water, you create space for your legs to kick. Also, a high elevation of the upper body reduces your resistance in the water. When starting your pull, you also start initiating the kick by pulling up your heels towards your butt. While you kick the water back strongly, fall back into a streamline with your head in between your arms. Breathe out and start the cycle again. The focus points. The pulling motion with your arms is compact, catching the water effectively. When kicking, keep your knees together as much as possible to minimize resistance. While pulling up your heels, make sure you press your hips down and forward at the same time. This determines your high body line in the water. Pause for 2 seconds at the end of the stroke while in streamline underwater, getting the most out of every stroke. Breathe out underwater and face down towards the bottom of the pool to minimize drag. Breaststroke is a short axis stroke. The propulsion from the arms and legs must be used as good as possible. Meaning that after each stroke, you try to have a horizontal and streamlined position. Reducing drag and improving your propulsion at the same time lead to a good breaststroke.
Elementary backstroke is used for recreational and survival swimming and for exercising muscle groups not used in other stroke. Like the breaststroke, elementary backstroke uses symmetrical motions. Both sides of the body move the same way at the same time. Beginning in the glide position, your back should be straight, legs together and arms at your sides. Your palms should face your thighs. Depending on your buoyancy, your hips and legs may be slightly lower than your head and shoulders. The waterline will probably cover your ears, but your face will always be out of the water. Your hips will stay near the surface at all times during this stroke. From the glide position, the arm stroke for elementary backstroke begins with the recovery. Keep your hands palms down or in towards your body as you bend your elbows and slide your hands up along your sides to a point just below your armpits. The power phase of the arm stroke begins here. Point your fingers out, away from your shoulders with palms facing toward your feet. Leading with your fingers, extend your arms out to the sides. Your hands should be no farther forward than the top of your head. With your arms straight or slightly bent, press your palms and the insides of your arms back toward your feet in a broad sweeping motion. Your arms should end up in the glide position, with your palms against your thighs. Your arms should move smoothly from the start of the recovery through the completion of the power phase. Be sure to keep your hands just below the surface of the water throughout the arm stroke. In the kick for elementary backstroke, both legs bend at the knee, push out, and back around in a circular pushing motion. Begin in the glide position, legs together, toes pointed. Recover your legs by bending and slightly separating your knees while you draw your heels downward to a point under and outside your knees. The knees are spread slightly wider than the hips, depending on the flexibility of the swimmer. During recovery, try to keep your back, hips, and thighs nearly straight. At the end of recovery, rotate your knees slightly inward, flex your ankles, and rotate your feet outward. Push your feet out and around, ending with your legs in the glide position, toes pointed. To get the most power from this kick, make sure that your feet gain speed throughout the circular pushing motion. Because your face is always out of the water in elementary backstroke, breathing is easy, but you should still concentrate on developing a rhythmic pattern of breathing during each stroke. Inhale as your arms recover. Exhale during the power phase. Although the movement of your arms and legs happens at the same time, your arms should begin their recovery just before the legs. Because the movement of the legs is shorter and stronger, both arms and legs will finish their thrust at the same time. At the end of this combined power phase, glide for a few seconds before you start recovery for the next stroke. Start your next stroke as soon as your speed begins to slow. Be sure to keep enough forward momentum going in the glide so that you don't come to a complete stop every time your arms and legs recover.